What's up everyone, welcome back to the PCL Origins League Power Rankings Season 8 with your hosts me, Jayem, and Hussam, the far more qualified of the two.
What's going on, everyone? It's your man Hussam, the basher, the bashing maniac. So let's get this started, Jayem.
Alrighty, so quick overview of the league. You need 10 to 11 mons, you have 110 points to draft, so the teams this season are really quite restrictive on what they could draft. Last season we had a lot more lenient and therefore a lot more broken teams and were usually more interesting to talk about, but whatever, we're here, we do what we can, I suppose. Couple of things to point out: we don't run cut moves, so that means no hidden power, no return, no refresh, no jump kick, no pursuit. A lot of key moves have been dropped and a lot of mons have been tweaked quite significantly in tiers because of it, but without further ado, we should move on to number 16 and someone who's probably quite disappointed to find himself down here. It is Keith Sheldon. Now, Keith has drafted a frankly obscene amount of Regenerator Pokemon, as you can see right there. You've got Tornadus, Toxapex and Tangela, all horrible defensive Pokemon, and I put him down here because I hate him and I hate what he does to me. But no, for real, we do have some issues with Keith's team. He does have a bit of a dark weakness, as you can see here. His dragon sucks. He hasn't really got a whole lot in terms of switch-ins, but, well, you don't want to hear about me when it comes to bashing things, do you? There's a reason why we've got Hussam on board. So, what do you think?
And the reason starts now.
Yes.
Okay, so when you think about regenerator team, you will think about it will reach like top 3, top 5 max. But this team is on the top 16. So it's weird because when you have like a regenerator team, you would like this team to be like in the top 5 or top 3. So this team lacks so many stuff. First of all, as Jayem said, it lacks a better dark resist and ghost resist. And I will add to that a better ground resist. He has Tangela, Tornadus as a flying type, and Rotom as his levitate. So first of all, a special attack, a ground type can destroy this team with enough coverage for the rest. Rotom doesn't take anything, the frosty one, that doesn't take any damage for granted. Like it doesn't have like a great recovery move other than pain split, and you know it's not that effective. So these two holes in the team make it very weak and not cohesion, because he has two of the great physically defensive mons and his dragon as an AV Light user. So knockoff will be so good against this team, even knocking off leftovers, Black Sludge, Jirachi's Scarf if he's going Scarf, anything Choppleberry, Rotom Frost if he's afraid of fighting moves, and he still lacks a better defensive or resistant to Ghost, because Ghost now are the meta. Gen 8 was sponsored by Ghost types and the offensive prowess of Ghosts. So he only has Grimmsnarl as his ghost resist, and that sucks for his team because Grimmsnarl doesn't take ghost types very well because his defense is so lacking. What do you think about that, Jayem?
Yeah, pretty much that. I will also notice he's going to have some problems with bulky water types, I think, because his answers to that are like Tangela and Rotom Frost, which is really kind of lacking, really. Like, he does have a fair amount of neutral strength in stuff like Tornadus, Hatterene, and Grimmsnarl, but unfortunately, like, I think he might find it a little bit difficult, especially waters with cleric support, wish support, that sort of thing. However, you also might be thinking to yourself that this is the 16th ranked team, and yet it's still got some really nice stuff on it. It's got Jirachi on it, for fuck's sake. Yeah.
And Tornadus, dude, that's Origin. Origin, to be honest, let's make like a disclaimer. Origin this season drafted so well. No one can deny that. From top 2 to top 14, we were in a mess in ordering Origin's power ranking. Go ahead.
Straight up, it took us like 3 hours to order everything. Like, it was so tight. Like, this might be the last ranked team, but we still ranked it like a 7.5 out of 10. Like, I think any team can do well in Origins. It's more about the coach than the team, I think, in this. But, yeah, we are where we are. Keith is number 16. And so, we move on with great haste to number 15, Hooby. And yeah, you can see here how good Origin's drafted if we put a team like this in number 15. Lander Asterion, Mega Aggron, Curum, Starmie, Rotom Mo. Those are all really, really good core mons. Like, especially Curum, it got a lot of good toys in Gen 8. It got Dragon Dance, it got Icicle Spear, it can easily run mixed, it's got one of the best offensive moves in Freeze Dry. It's got so much going for it, this team. But there is certainly a reason why we ranked it at number 15, and Hussam will be the one to elaborate on that.
Well, the first thing we noticed, if we're seeing a team with Mega Aggron or even Melmetal, you would think, where is your Wish passive? Because this Pokemon is so tanky, so bulky, it has filter, it has everything right, it can do damage, but you need a Wish passive. You need like Sylvia, you need like a greater fairy than Diancie. So the thing is here, this team, other than the lack of Wish passive, has like duplicates. Like you have Virizion and Rotom Wash as your grass type, Delphox and Charizard are as your fire type. So this duplication is actually a problem for this team because this team lacks a better special defensive Pokemon. Okay, you've got like you will go like AV, Delphox, or Starmie with Recover, even Rotom, but still lacks the defense on special side. You've got Landorus and Mega Aggron for the physical side. If you pair it with a Sylveon, let's say, a great special defense mon with a Wish Passer, I think this team can reach top, let's say top 10 minimum. So this is what this team lacks, and other than that, it's weak to Ghost types by only Zoroark, the resistance for the Ghost, and that, as you know, Zoroark doesn't appreciate switching in because this Pokemon has Illusion or something like this, his ability, and Rock type moves. Almost every Pokemon has Stone Edge, and you will be so disappointed in facing them. What do you think about this time?
Yeah, just adding on to that, Virizion is your only rock resist, apart from Mega Aggron, I suppose. It is also worth pointing out that Delphox does actually get Wish, and its HP stat isn't that bad, but it's a Delphox. It's probably not going to be running that all that often. Usually you find it in a more offensive role. And yeah, I think the main issue with this team is probably sort of the duplication, as we mentioned before. Charizard has basically no reason to be here. Virizion, I think, could definitely be tweaked. I think you could do with a better fighting type because you've already got Rotom filling in that grass type role. And Diancie is, I don't think Diancie is a particularly cohesive unit with the rest of this team. A bulkier fairy,
Exactly.
Yeah, a bulkier fairy, especially one that can Wish Pass, would be very, very good on this team. But well, the merits of this team do speak for themselves, and I do think that there is, like, most of this team is very, very good. And hell, I certainly had a lot of trouble with it when in my week 1 match. So,
And one more thing to point out, sorry. If he gets rid of Charizard and Zoroark, he can go for like Umbreon or something like this. I think Umbreon can be the cohesive force that this team needs. I don't know if it's available or not. I didn't look at the tiers, but this is what I'm thinking. And Hooby's playstyle is more offense and like hyper offense and setups. So I think he has only like Lando and Kyurem to set up.
Yeah, so I think this team is certainly capable of doing well by itself, but like as we mentioned, Origins has drafted to an absolutely insane degree this season. And which brings us on to the top 14, and that is actually notable because from here on the teams are all really, really close together, and it is Faze. Now, first thing you see when you look at this team, it's a rain team. A really quite weird rain team because there's like 3-4 monsters that can actually use rain. So you've got Pelipper, Kingdra, that's standard, Raikou, got a lot of new toys. As well as being able to run Thunder, it can also run Water Weather Ball now, and I think it also gets Scald, I think.
It does get Scald.
That is insane. Why is it Scald? It's a tiger. Anyway, and yeah, also you've got Mega Scissor. Obviously it loves the mitigation of fire because obviously that's its main weakness. Other stuff like Tangrowth also likes it as well. And then the rest of the team just kind of doesn't. It's a little bit weird. Like, it's kind of hard to describe really. I mean, I do like this team. I think it is good. though there are definitely weaknesses with it, especially in the lower tiers, and now we will go into that in a little bit more detail.
Well, as you said, the lower tier mons are so ugly, to be honest, because you look at the ugly cat and Cursula. They do nothing. I know Faze will prove us wrong, like he did with his Arcanine, but in the first glance, or as in analyzing this team, they don't seem to be. They seem to be lackluster. Okay, so the thing is about this team, it has setup. It has all the resistance. This team resists everything. This team, you can't run anything. First of all, Mega Scissor and Tangrowth really hate fire moves, and Rain makes up for them. He's got like a physical prowess in Mimikyu, Scissor, and even Pangoro, with the knockoff that this team needs to get rid of like fast choice scarf users like, let's say, Zeraora or Dragapult, to outspeed swim users. But he still has Mimikyu. It can Swords Dance. It has Curse or Swords Dance Mega Scissor. It has Calm Mind Raikou, and under the rain, this Pokemon deals damage. Thunder, Wither Ball, and now the Aura Sphere. So, if you get past those threats, Nihiligo will be there waiting for you. We've ranked it number 14 because, as we said, Origins teams are so good, and you will be even more surprised when you see number 13 because they are all top 5 material. But this thing needs like a better wall breaker, something to kill faster, like a physical one, not with the help of Swords Dance, Mimikyu, or Scissor. It needs something like can hit and be fast outside the ring.
Well, he does have some other mods that can do that, like Raikou and Nihilego, which both have very nice speed tiers. But yeah, that's essentially what we think about this team. You have 11 mons, Faze. Just get rid of Perugly and Corsola. They are not Pokemon. They're not going to do anything for you. I know we've talked about how you've proven us wrong with Pokemon before, but you know what? I just don't have enough faith in you to get anything out of fucking Perugly. So drop both of them and get a 2-pointer that can actually do something. Okay, moving on to number 13. We have Snobby. And yeah, 13. Dragapult, Corviknight, Sylveon, Zeraora. Holy hell. This is number 13. Yeah, like, as we said, Origins is nutty. And yeah, those are the main strengths of this particular team. There are some strengths outside of it as well. Mega Blastoise is a pretty nice choice of Mega, even if it's not allowed to run Shell Smash anymore, because quite frankly, what the hell were we thinking in Season 7? Roserade is really good, so is Palossand, so is Uxie, and the other ones are also there. Actually, Volibee is quite nice as well, but a little redundant on a team of Corviknight, I think. But in any case, those are the main strengths and weaknesses. You can definitely see it's a team of two halves, really. Well, a team of 2/3 and a significantly worse other third, but I will let the Resident Basher take care of that one.
Okay, so this team has wall breaking potential. This team has pivots. This team has defensive. It has everything at first glance, but then if you look closely, you'll find it lacks so many stuff. First of all, he's got the versatile Draga, Corviknight, and Zeraora. You can't expect what Zeraora is trying to do. Is he banded, Scarf, Life Orb, Bulk Up, Physical, Special, Sub? Same goes for Dragapult. Is it Clear Body? Is it Infiltrator? Is it Banded, Scarf? Anything. So, and of course the Corviknight subset with pressure. It can go body press, it can go iron defense body press. So other than those 3 Pokemon, the other like 10 or something, 7 or 8 Pokemon are not that versatile. So that's the issue here. So we've got 2 of the greatest physical or special attackers in the game, and fast ones, of course, the fastest 2 Pokemon other than Excelgar, Dragapult and Zeraora. He still got breakers as like Mega Blastoise or Roserade. Can use Reflect or Screens Uxie. But this team defensively still lacks something. First of all, 4 out of the 10 Pokemon are weak to ice. Okay, we've got like Mega Blastoise can resist it, so can Carkol and Snub, and these two are non-Pokemon. Not sorry, Snubby. And this Pokemon is weak to rocks. Only Palossand resisted. This team's still weak to Ghost. This team weak to Dark. So this team defensively is good at first glance in Corviknight and Sylveon, but it still dies to many Pokemon. Like Spix Ghost type or Banded Ghost types can demolish this team. So that's why it's in number 13.
Yeah, that's essentially the long and short of it, really. I think it's also worth pointing out that there is an absolutely enormous speed gap at the top. Obviously, you've got Dragapult and Zeraora, who are very, very fast. But then I think the next fastest is Uxie at like 95. Like, that's like a 50-point speed gap. So I don't think there's anything else above 100, which could potentially be an issue. There's only really Roserade, I think, that can run a Scarf if you want to go that route. So could be exploitable a little bit. I'm not sure. Maybe it could be exploited. Anyway, this is also another one of those teams that have drafted like more mons than they necessarily have to. He's got 11 mons and 3 of them are quite frankly not going to do a whole lot. Snom is obviously not going to do anything, and Carkol is literally only there to set up spikes, and you already have Roserade, so why the hell do you need more? But yeah, I suppose it's also there for removal. But you're fine on that front as well, so Christ knows why you've got those two. Yeah, this team could do with some tweaking, but you have to respect the power at the top there, even if there are some defensive limitations with this team overall, which is obviously why we put it up so high, I suppose. Anyway, without further ado, we move on to number 12, Fury, the Gigabit Golisopods and the worst logo of the league. So, Diamanitan, Slowbro, Heatchan, Mega Pidgeot, Obstagoon, Silvally, Comfrey, Drodicon, Sandaconda, Trapinch. Yeah, you could find uses for all those mons, and I think that's probably the first team that has literally a use for everything on the team, which is, well, certainly something I find valuable. Silvally, I think, is an absolutely excellent Pokemon in draft. It's probably one of the best, in my opinion, especially with the power boost. Seriously, they boosted multi-attack to 120 for some insane reason. I don't understand that at all. It didn't really need buffing. But otherwise, yeah, this is a very good team. A team with limitations, but a very good team nonetheless. And I'm sure someone else will be able to tell you about it in a little bit more detail.
First of all, is Golisopod dabbing?
I think he is.
What the hell?
Can we
Anyhow, going to this team. Okay, first of all of this team, as you've said, is viable. I think Trapinch can see a play hero there. It can do some work with his Flygon base attack. It can kill something, 100 base attack. So this team is good because you have Slowbro and Heatran. These two can resist everything together. But other than everything, you've got like Darmanitan, which is like kill something. You turn and deal like 50% of your opponent's HP. You've got Parting Shot Obstagoon. You've got Dragon with everything he's got, like it can go like a suicide lead with like doing taunting, stealth rocking. Sandaconda can come and glare. So this team has 2 glare users, Dragon and Sandaconda, which gives room to, or let's say speed control for the choice banded Darmanitan Galarian. So this thing can destroy teams. The Darmanitan with the speed control, and Obstagoon is no difference for it, like Facade, Flame Orb, and Guts. So offensively, this team is good. It has like Silvally's new buff, and even Comfy's Calm Mind, Draining Kiss can do some work. Pidgeot, Darm, Obstagoon, Silvally, they are all pivots with U-turn and Parting Shot. So the defense of this team is somehow lacking because it kind of loses to fighting and ice types. So Slowbro, let's say, is the defensive column or footing for this team because it resists what most of this team weak to in water, in fighting, in ice. So if Slowbro dies in your team, I think your team is done for. But still, very good team overall. And I should still note that the only fair resist on this team is Heatran, and that's it's not that bad because Heatran can die other than ground type moves.
So that's essentially the long and short of that team in particular. I think it's also worth pointing out that the pivot strength of this team is kind of ridiculous. Like, you've obviously got like stuff like Darm, Mega Pidgeot, Comfy, I suppose, that have all come on U-turn. Silvally and Obstagoon both have Parting Shot. Slowbro's got Teleport. I think that's going to be really pivotal to this team because you've got
Exactly.
Yeah, you got Darmanitan, and that can come in completely safely is really, really good for something like Darmanitan. Like, that's a combination that will really come up. But as we'd say, we do think you are leaning on Slowbro quite a lot here. Maybe like something else to be able to take those kind of hits, especially since down at the bottom you've got a little bit of redundancy in like Trapinch and Sandy Combat. You don't really need both. Like, the Trapinch, yeah, it's a luxury, I suppose, but you don't really need it when you've already got another ground type, I think. But moving on to number 11, and that is Lotus. Lotus has a pretty tasty Fairy Dragon Steel Core with Celesteela, Tapu Lele, and Mega Charizard X. I think that is a really, really nice team in particular because I think they actually cover each other pretty much perfectly in terms of weaknesses. I'm pretty sure they do. I'm not actually sure. I will get back to you on that.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah, apart from Rock. It's Charizard's weak to Rock and the other two are neutral to it, but that's basically the only one I can see. And Ice. Okay, like a little bit more, but whatever. Yeah, I think this is the first time first time we've seen a team that has done like a lot of mixing in terms of offense and defense. Like, obviously you've got the aforementioned 3 Celesteela can run both offensive and defensive sets. It's really chunky on its own anyway, so it's kind of sort of a natural balance mon. And then you've got other stuff like Mandibuzz, Miltank, even Moshana, who's got decent bulk even if it has got a horrendous defensive typing. Mandibuzz I think is really good, so is Delmise. I think they work really well on this team. And yeah, though there is a little bit of weaknesses in some areas, namely Tapu Lele being essentially the only special attacker, really. I don't know how much of an issue that'll be because there's an awful lot of physical breakers here. Well, mainly Mega Charizard, and I suppose Hitmonlee in some circumstances. But it's mostly physical. In fact, it's predominantly physical. Steeler can run mixed if it needs to, but it's usually going to be running physical. And I think it's like Lele, Moshana, and it's kind of those two that can only run special moves. But there are more. There is more to do with this team, and I will let someone who knows more about Pokemon say there is for me.
Okay, so this is the... Finally, we've seen like a good Steel Fairy Dragon core, other than Snomby. I think Snomby, Dragapult, Corvi, and Sylveon was pretty decent. But if you look at these top tier threats, Celesteela, everyone's scared of it. Lele, it was banned. Mega Charizard X, if it sets up anything, your opponent will die. Dragon Dance, it's gone. Flame Charge, Belly Drum, your opponent will demolish. And I think Lotus have used it like in season 6 or 7. The Zard X Belly Drum thing, and just sweep a lot. By a lot, I think one team. Anyhow, this team is like has everything it needs. First of all, finally, after Fury's team, of course, because the Fury has Obstagoon and Mega Pidgeot, a real team that can resist Ghost. It has Mandibuzz. I think Mandibuzz was one of the best Ghost resist Pokemon ever, especially versus like Aegislash, even Dragapult or something like this. And you've got Miltank, the stealth rocker of this team, the Ghost immune for this team. It has the milk drain, she milks herself anyhow. It got stealth rock, it got body slam, and yes, you will be hacked. Lotus is a hacker. So you've got physical defensive in Swampert, physical Pokemon in Swampert. Even Mandibuzz can run both. Miltank can run both. Mush is so tanky and it hurts hard, and you will see future sight from it, especially with Lele's terrain. So this team's defense is so good, and setting up for the late game, for the win cons in Lele and Charizard X. Swampert, Mandibuzz, and Miltank will chip everything on their way to make room and to pave the way for the top tier threats. That's my thought of this team. It's so good.
Yeah, that's essentially what we think of the team. Really, we do think everyone is unanimous in thinking that it's a really good team. How it's outside the top 10, well, you'll just have to find out. It does have a couple of weaknesses, I think.
Fairy, only
yeah.
Celesteela, Fairy and Ice, I think. Fairy and Ice, yeah.
Yeah, like other than Celesteela, Fairy, nothing else resists Fairy, and you do have a couple of things that are weak to it. I think the team synergizes very well, with the exception of one thing, and that's Lele. Lele's terrain disabling priority. Obviously, a lot of mons really, yeah. Like, obviously, a lot of mons really like that. Stealer, Mega Charizard, Delmise, they all have priority moves that they don't really want to get hit by. But what I'm looking at is Hitmonlee. Fake Out will be cancelled if you use it under terrain, and if you're trying to rely on that for Umber, then you've basically...
So you use Psychic Seed?
Yeah, you run Psychic Seed instead. I don't know why I thought. Yeah, just do that. Just do that. Your team's great. Whatever. Okay. But yeah, that's essentially what we have about this team, really. Like, yeah, we do think it is very, very good. Very, very good. Though maybe a little bit more fleshing out. Zeb Striker isn't really the best, but it's a decent lower tier pick, I think. But with all of that, we move on into the top 10 with Nippy, Lewon, however you say his name. Okay, so before this, Nippy actually made a couple of FAs, and before he made those, he was, I think, 15th? But yeah, we think he's improved his team pretty significantly, and it's mainly with the introduction of his namesake, Alomomola. And that is because he has stuff like Melmetal, Larias, Tapu Bulu, stuff that really likes having a proper cleric around, which a lone runner can absolutely do. Melmetal will absolutely be the defensive and offensive core of this team, mainly offensive, because it's got that absolutely ridiculous signature move in Double Iron Bash, and the rest of the team is stacked up pretty well as well. It's one of those teams I think that will probably get some usage out of basically everything on the team, even Reboot. As weird as that is to say, it's actually got quite decent offensive stats and Libero, so maybe he gets a use out of it? I don't know, I've never seen it in action. It sounds like something that Goomba would draft, but who knows, maybe it makes too much sense for him. In any case, this is a really good team. I really like this team. The Fairy Dragon Steel Core is absolutely rock solid. Bulu and Alomomola are a fantastic Water and Grass core. I'm not going to mention Reboot in that because that is not coming in to take any kind of attack. And the rest of the team all has well-defined uses as well. I really like Scyther, especially since it got dual Wing Beat. Double Technician boosted move, it's going to get a lot of use out of that. Otherwise, yeah, pretty good team all across the board. Maybe a bit of redundancy with stuff like Shiftry. I don't really see that being used an awful lot when you have Bulu. But maybe. Who knows? This is a good team. A very good team. But, as we say, as with any team, it has limitations. So, what do you think of the team then?
Well, first of all, I think Keith's team was better before the FAs. So, as I've said in the... for the Hooby's team, Mega Aggron and Melmetal both need Wish faster Pokemon. So this team did it. This team, Lepe, did it. He got himself Alomomola. Guys, this is not Love Disc, it's Alomomola. So Alomomola takes everything this team hates, which is, first of all, Ice Beam. This team doesn't appreciate Ice Beam. Not even anything, only Melmetal. So Melmetal was going to be chipped down, but now it doesn't care about being chipped because I wish Baton Pass Alomomola will be here for the rescue. Larias now got every move in the game. I think it's the new Mew with a better speed and a better. It got like D-Dance, I think, and it has like insane speed F and special attack. So this team has so many breakers. Okay, so Melmetal can destroy anything not named Rotom Heat with his Double Iron Bash. And he's my Pokemon. He has Bash. So, and Larias has every coverage it needs. Bulu got player off and close combat. Raboot has like 94 base speed and can destroy teams in just U-turning. Because U-turn in this team can grant you a kill or grant you a recovery from Tabu Bulu grassy terrain. Nidoqueen can set up rocks and eat Toxic Spike that will eat through Tapu Bulu. You've got Mega Manectric with Volt and U-turn from Scyther. So this team synergizes so well. And having Almola as the center of this synergy and cohesion. Because this thing doesn't die if this team is played right. And I think they can do it right. So in the sense of defensive weaknesses, it got like ground and ice. That's it. Everything is being resisted by a hell bunch of Pokemon on this team. So ground being gone by Tapu Bulu, and even most of Pokemon has high horsepower. It's still not every Pokemon can get it, but many can. So and Ice Beam is being rejected and dealing absolutely nothing to Alamola. So that's why this team is top 10, and that's how scary and terrifying Origins are.
Yeah, that's essentially why this team is as high as it is, and also why it is, I suppose, as low as it is. I suppose it is still in the bottom half. There is another thing with this team I think would be an improvement, especially since you've got a couple of mons which can certainly make use of this, and that's Trick Room. I don't believe there's any Trick Room setters on this team at all. Melmetal absolutely loves it, as does Rhyperior, and other things in this team can certainly work with it. Type Null isn't very fast, Nidoqueen isn't the fastest either. You could definitely get some use out of that, and I think it's an option worth considering, but you don't have to. This is an extremely good team by itself. I think Trick Room would just be able to push it over the top and be able to give you slightly more favourable matchups against certain things. But in any case, this team looks horrifying to fight against. With that kind of defensive support supporting that kind of offense, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Even if the Mega is a bit of an interesting pick, because Mega Manectric is kind of rubbish. But hey, it does have a use. It is fast. It's got Thunderbolt, no Overheat, and literally nothing else. But it's worth looking at. This is certainly a team worth considering. This is one of several dark horses in Origins. But we move in to number 9, and that is Queen. Now, Queen has done what basically everyone has done and picked up the shiny new toy, and that's Urshifu. This is the Dark Urshifu, I think, and that synergizes very well with the rest of the team. It's one of those mons which is very, very difficult to prepare against because of its ridiculous signature, meaning it will always crit and it always bypasses protection. Though, as I found out fairly recently, it doesn't actually bypass sub, so that's an option for it, I suppose. But this is something that will certainly come. This is coming a lot. This is definitely the offensive centerpiece of the team. And around it, you've got plenty of defensive options as well. Mega Venusaur, Rotom Wash, Aromatisse, Diggersby even, Cryogonal. They can all run defensive sets, run sets helping the offensive core of the team. I think this is just one of those teams where basically everything has an option. Everything can work here, I think, and everything will be brought in some capacity. One of my favourite mons on this team is actually Diggersby, just because of the versatility of what it can run. Obviously, everyone knows it for its power, but it can also run spike sets and cheek pouch and able to heal itself. You won't see that very often because huge power is ridiculous. It's definitely one of the best abilities in the game. But, yeah, that's completely an option you can do with it. Other than that, there are a couple of weaknesses with this team, though mostly it covers for its own weaknesses very well. Rotom Wash got that grass weakness covered extremely well by Mega Venusaur and Metagross. Metagross has got that fire and ground weakness, is covered extremely well by Rotom Wash. Urshifu, weak to Fairy, Mega Venusaur covers, weak to Flying, Rotom covers, Metagross covers, Coal covers, I suppose. There's a lot going with this team, and I think the cohesion definitely kind of makes it more than the sum of its parts, I think. I think that's just the kind of team that this is. But that's just my opinion. What do you think, Hussam?
Well, this team is so strong defensively, and this team I can think of it as an assassin team. Like this is the mad lady we're talking about. So this team is fast. Okay, this team is bulky. This team has coverage. This team is so versatile. In its own defensive way, it has Mega Venusaur, Rotom Wash, Metagross, Aromatisse. So these four can synergize so well and just keep turning or even switching in because these mons don't really care about damage. Okay, and the assassin will come in your weak time in Urshifu or even Diggersby, a Cryogonal or Miss Migas. So the other thing that's so good in this team and the versatility is everything can be choice locked. Urshifu, Metagross, Diggersby, these three can be choice banded. Cryogonal and Miss Magius and Rotom Wash can go specs. Yes, Rotom Wash can go specs and trick the specs for versus like a Tox specs, keep his Tox specs, let's say. And all of these Pokemon can run Choice Scarf. Almost all of the attacker, of course. The Urshifu, Rotom Wash, Metagross, Diggersby, Cryogonal, Miss Magius. So this is the power of this team. This team resists all the moves. You can say that it doesn't really resist Ghost, but you have like immunity in Diggersby and Urshifu. Although you don't want to send them in versus like Ghost type Gengar or Dragapult, but they can be sent out if you're like predicting or something. So offensively, defensively, hazard control, wish passing, recovery from synthesis and leech seed, everything, even recover with Cryogonal. Miss Migas can do its own job, special attacking, everyone here and out. So this team is so good. So back to you.
Yeah, just reiterating what Hussam said there. I think it's a team that covers basically all of its bases very, very well. There's a really good spread of hazards here. You've got spikes on multiple setters, rocks on multiple setters, plenty of removal, different kinds of removal that all works. Like you cover for yourself very, very well here, I think, and that's partially why this team is as high as it is. It's a team that just works so well together, I think.
And the U-turn momentum. You've got like Urshifu U-turn, Rotom Wash, Volt Switch, Noivern, Diggersby, they all have U-turn. So this is a strong aspect for this team.
Absolutely, and you've even got stuff like Wish Passing Cleric Aromatisse for difficult situations, say a Shifu gets burned or something, then you've got options for that as well. Like, you don't have to immediately change your game plan because of it. This is a team that's going to be quite difficult to deal with, I think. I think just because of how well it works together. But, as said, there are 8 other teams better than it, so we should probably move on to those. And number 8 is PZZ, Pikachu Zippy Zap, I think. Mega Aerodactyl, Garchomp, Clefable, Registeel, Zapdos, Slowking, Decidueye, Greninja, and the other 2. This is a good team. This is a very, very good team, I think. I think especially that Fairy Dragon Steel Core you've got up there as well. Clefable, Garchomp, Registeel, that is a team that can work very well together. You've got Slowking, which got a few things this gen, namely Teleport. But Teleport, Regenerator, just having that kind of pivot is really useful on a team like this. Other mons that can do that as well. You've also got Clefable that can run Teleport because it just gets every move in the universe because someone at Game Freak clearly has a favourite. And your offensive side has a lot of things going for it as well. Mega Aerodactyl is really, really fast, gets a lot of moves that can make use of that Tough Claws ability. Garchomp is as good as ever. Zapdos is really good. Decidueye has options, so does Greninja, even though Protean is banned. There, this is a good team. This is a good team that works well together, but as with every team, it does have its limitations. Namely those lower tiers. I don't think Coughing is going to do much for anyone, and speaking as someone who's used Volbeat, it kind of sucks. It's not the mon you want it to be, I'll just say that much. But that's basically all I know about this team. What do you think?
Well, as you said, Coughing and Volbeat are not that viable, to be honest. Even in Coughing, it has like 40 base HP stats, so it's not really like an ideal Eviolite Pokemon. So even if you want to like go Destiny Bond or Haze for it, you can, or T-Spikes, you can find better mons for that. And Volbeat can, I think, only Tail Glow or something like this, that like Prankster, Baton Pass, but whom are you giving it to? Other than Zapdos with its new Hurricane thing or Greninja. So anyhow, the other 8 mons are complete monsters. Decidueye is a monster now. He is a ducking monster because Decidueye now has Poltergeist. Yeah, Swords Dance Decidueye is becoming now the new meta, as it should have been a long time ago. It has Shadow Sneak, it has Knockoff, it has Leaf Blade, Poltergeist, as I've said, Sneak, SD, U-Turn, and even Sucker Punch. So, in terms of absolute power or setups, this mon can set up. It needs like screens. So if this team got like Klutki for the screens support for Home Close, Aerodactyl, or Swords Dance Garchomp, Decidueye can shine in that category because the Swords Dance with Sneak, Sucker Punch, or Poltergeist can destroy teams. Because as you have seen, the previous 12 teams, or like 8 teams, there are most of them, other than one team, I think, is weak, so weak to Ghost type moves. So I think Dragapult, Aegislash, and even the Decidueye can shine in the Origins League. So this team's physical prowess is so strong with Mega Aerodactyl. So especially after Mega Aerodactyl obtaining new moves in Rock Blast, Dragon Dance, and even Psychic Fangs. So this thing is a monster. With DD, this thing kills. This thing sweeps, cleans, doing everything right. With the help of the real dragon, Garchomp, that's one of the best top 10 for me draft Pokemon. You've got Clefable with its wish passing, with its life orb fucking base 95 attack with Magic Guard, with Zapdos that got now Hurricane. So what do you think of the power of this team, Jayem?
The power of this team is frankly kind of ridiculous when you look at the kind of mons that it has. Obviously you've got Mega Aerodactyl and its various boosting potential. Garchomp can run Swords Dance, Clefable can do whatever the hell it wants. Zapdos has got a whole load of new moves to play with as well, and Slowking has access to stored power now, in addition to Calm Mind, Slack Off, and whatever the hell it wants to do. Also worth pointing out, Decidueye is actually, I believe, the only mon that gets Sword Dance, Nasty Plot, and Baton Pass. Is that going to be important? Probably not, but it could be. It could be. Like, the thought of passing a Sword Dance over to something like Mega Aerodactyl or Garchomp and just ready to come in and start breaking stuff is a thought that fills me with joy. I don't know if I'm fighting this team. If I am fighting this team, then please retract the earlier thought. Sort out your lower tiers, get a tier 1 that can actually do something. Volby can stay, he's a good boy. The rest of them are okay, I guess, whatever. This team's in number 8, it's fantastic. Number 7. Eggschmipt219, I think that's how you say your name. What, yet another Chicago representative of this team, which brings our total to 48 for the PCL. And yeah, you can see why we like this team, why we ranked it so highly, just from those top 3 mons alone. Mega Lopunny, Aegislash, Togekiss. What the hell? Who allowed this? Who allowed that to be drafted? That is disgusting under this limit. That is frankly revolting. Anyway, Aegislash and Lopunny, I believe, cover each other completely perfectly in terms of resistances. Yeah, they actually do completely cover it. Wow, I actually said something that was true for once. Togekiss is also really good. It's a good mon that works on basically any team, and it also annoys the hell out of everyone it comes across because that's just what it is. It was born to annoy. Flygon, decent. It got some new moves. It got Scorching Sand, so it can now actually do a couple more things. It did have Earth Power before, so it wasn't completely restricted on that front, but now Scorching Sands definitely seems like one of the most spammable moves in the game, thanks to that burning addition that it can do. The rest of it, also pretty good. This is certainly one of those teams where I think you could bring any mon to any game, really. Like, I think I can see everything here being brought. Nothing has been wasted here. Even stuff like Regice, which isn't the best pick in the world, still gets stuff like Bolt Beam, Agility, other moves. It's got a ridiculous special defense stat, even if it is a pure ice type and therefore it's garbage. But the rest of it is good. Like, very, very good. I think the addition of webs helps this team so much. And I think it also covers for its own weaknesses quite well as well. But that's just my opinion. What do you think, Hussam?
This team got it all. It got the tools it needs to win. Because you've got the Mega Lopunny's new moves. Especially I'm talking here about U-turn. You've got Flygon with a U-turn, Victini with a U-turn, Serena. So these threats can U-turn into each other. They can draw a circle of the endless U-turn, and especially with Galvantula's webs. First of all, Galvantula doesn't have to go like suicide webs and just die and they will defog or rapid spin the hazards away. No, it can go for the like last 3 or 4 Pokemon and still win. Because this team appreciates webs so much. It appreciates Togekiss's Thunder Wave, even if the sticky webs are gone. Because you would like Aegislash to run either Banded or Specs. You would love Victini to go Banded V Create. So this thing with those two monsters can destroy teams. You know how Aegislash was always broken? Victini can be broken as well. Broken in the speed control, because if Victini got the speed control, it can control the whole match, to be honest. Flygon appreciates Specs, Scarf or Choice Band, because it hits hard, even if it's base 100. This is a draft league, this is not a ladder. So not all of the monsters you are facing are top tier. So base 100 attack with a band or even DD. In terms of offense, this team is so good. It has Mega Lopunny, Aegislash, Togekiss, Flygon, Galvantula, Victini, Serena, and even Drapion. This team can deal so much and chip so many of the opponent team. And now in defensively, this team has Aegislash. It can run sub-toxic King Shield. It can rack Specs, Scarf, Bandit. And even the Togekiss can run Scarf, Trick. It's so viable. Togekiss can go defensively. You've got Serena with its famous AV. You've got Rejoice. Okay, Rejoice is the mon that is so good, and it swept me in Gen 7 OU ladder, but it's fine. I'm over it now. Anyhow, Rejoice is so good. It's so underrated. And you will see what Egg Schmimpt 219 will do with it. And that's my thoughts on the team. What say you, Jayem?
Yeah, essentially all of what you just said there. This is obviously a really, really good team. I think it's one of the best balanced teams we've got. I think it's because it can run basically anything it wants to, really. The only thing that really stood out to me was this general lack of a bulky water, because Omastar, it's a lot of things, it's not a bulky water. Though admittedly the team is mitigated on that somewhat because you do have Regice that can resist ice, and that's going to be very useful, especially like resisting Ice Beam with a 200 special defense stat. That is absolutely insane. That is like genuinely insane. Like you consider Regice to be one of those low tier Pokemon, and you just look at the stats and think, oh, it's got 200 in something. That's ridiculous. But anyway, those are our thoughts on Egg's team and Regice, and we move on to number 6, and that is Cradley's team. Cradley is probably very upset that we didn't rank her as number 1, and she might have grounds for that. And this is a really, really good team, like an astonishingly good team in my opinion. Okay, let's start with the obvious. Latios, Mega Diancie, Empoleon, Cinderace, Rillaboom. Aside from really disappointing Inteleon, holy hell, that is one heck of a core you've got right there. Latios and Mega Diancie are two of the best offensive powerhouses I think they can get in the upper tiers. Cinderace is kind of ridiculous with Libero. It's not quite as busted as Protean Greninja, thanks to its coverage not being the best, but otherwise it's really, really good. Pyro Ball is an immensely spammable move, and it gets stuff like Stab U-turn, Stab Close Combat. Plenty of moves. It gets a lot of use out of that. And Rillaboom got a lot of things. It's got Terrain, and it's got Grassy Glide. It's got, I think, the third most powerful priority move in Grassy Glide with its Terrain up. And the rest of the team is certainly no slouch either. You've got Rillaboom, you've got Crocodile, you've got Articuno, Rotom, Klawitz, Lickitung. This is, again, another one of those teams where I can see literally everything coming at some point. There are also some synergy down the Lotus as well. Klawitz probably going to get a lot of use out of that Terrain Pulse that Rillaboom can provide as well. And I think it also covers for the lack of coverage that Klawitz gets for other bulky water types, so that should be quite interesting to see what happens on that front. You've got other things as well. Lickitung can provide Cleric support. Obviously it's not the best because it is a lower tier, but you can certainly do a lot worse. There's a lot of worse Pokemon out there than Lickitung. And as I said, the rest of the team is there as well. Crocodile is like a Cradily staple. She drafts it every single season. I think basically since like season 3, something like that, like all the time. She drafts it. Is like probably one of her favourite ones in draft, but that's just speculation. And the rest of the team is really, really good as well. But that's just my opinion. What do you think?
So, first of all, this team is good offensively, but defensively it lacks something, and it's very, very bad. It's the fighting type. This team doesn't resist fighting, other than Rotom and Larios. So Larios, other than Larios can take hits better than Larios, but Larios can't. So going on into a fighting or switching on into a fighting type move prediction, and it turns out to be like a knockoff, can be fatal to this team. So this team, I think, in my opinion, needs to get like Kick, Claw, Rotom, or Lick into something better, something that resists fighting types, to be honest, because your main dealers can die to like a Mach Punch, like late game, the last 5 turns. Hitmontop can like sweep you, Conkeldurr, anything that can get Mach Punch. So this is at first glance. This team is so good offensively, no doubt about it. It has everything, and you've said everything. Cinderace gets high jump kick, of course. It will be stab, U-turn. Rillaboom gets U-turn. Crocodile with his Intimidate. Articuno is so bulky, especially with the heavy duty boots, and it takes hits so well. In my opinion, one wrong prediction from Cradily can cost this team a match, a whole game, because losing one of your pivots like Empoleon or Rillaboom or even Crook can lose you the game. So this is the downside, and that's what I'm thinking, that this team needs a better pivot or a better like bulky Pokemon that can take fighting type moves, because most of the fighting type Pokemon have a lot of coverage. So that's my concern for this team. Otherwise, it has Defog on many Pokemon. It has Score Change, a grassy terrain with Crocodile's high horsepower, not Earthquake. So everything goes according to plan for Cradily. So that's my opinion on this team and what it lacks. But overall, this team deserves this spot.
Absolutely. This is obviously a really, really good team. As you can see just from its offences, though we do think that there is a limitation in how much it can take and how much it's relying on stuff like Empoleon and Crocodile to act as those pivots. I do think as a potential replacement with Klawitz, that's the most obvious choice I can see, because even though it did get that Terrain Pulse thing, that's kind of a gimmick, if anything, and you do already have Empoleon and plenty of stuff that can fill Klawitz's role, and I'm sure there's stuff in Klawitz's tier that can sort of fill out your role a little bit. Because generally, yeah, your fighting type weakness is pretty evident, I think. Like your flying doesn't resist it, your fairy doesn't resist it. You need a little bit more, in my opinion. And I think Klawitz, if you're going to drop anything, drop Klawitz for something. I don't actually know what tier it's in, but I'm sure something will be down there. But, with all that said and done, we move into the top 5, and that is Slife. Slife has a very impressive first 4, 5, 6 picks, something like that. Zygarde
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
9, 10. Not 10, we can leave out the 10th pick, but the rest of them are good. The rest of them are really good. Zygarde, Ferrothorn, Finny, that's a fantastic core right there. They provide a lot for each other. I think Finny works very well with Zygarde, especially because Zygarde is one of those ones that's really not relying on its own Dragon Stab, so I really think that having that missed up just benefits it more than anything else. It also helps it avoid stuff like Burn, which Zygarde really hates. Additional Poison is generally just support to help Zygarde get along. Ferrothorn is there to set hazards for it and also make attacks intended for it. And the rest of the team works well as well. You've got Incineroar, which can easily bring it in as well. Mega Beedrill acts as another breaker just in case. Thunderous Therian, very, very powerful. Is it better than regular Thunderous? Yes, though it kind of depends on who you ask, really. They do quite different things. But it is a certainly good addition to this team. Frostlass is really good for extra hazard support. And Mesprit is just one of those Pokemon that's just a really good, low-tier, versatile Pokemon that doesn't really make any team worse. It's one of those that just works on everything. And Passimian's really good, and Dunsparce, we don't talk about Dunsparce. So anyway, what do you think?
First of all, I didn't even know that this Pokemon even existed in the rehearsal, so I'm still in a shock. So, finally, Slive's team and even Eggs, PZZ, they were like 13 in the first order we've made. So jumping up to number 5 is actually so good. So surprising as well. So this team has Zygarde, Farah, Feeny, and Incin. These 4 are so good together. Most will hate Zygarde with Feeny. I think I've heard it like 3 or 4 seasons ago. But Zygarde, I think the only dragon Pokemon that benefits from Feeny. First of all, you had to get to be toxic or wisp or even glare. I know you want to use glare, but if you're using Feeny and Zygarde on the same team and you want to glare, you will time it correctly, or you will just do it professionally, let's say it. Zygarde can use his dragon even if you're going like choice band, dragon mode. Most of the dragons are even flying dragon or levitating dragon, like Hydreigon, Dragonite, Salamence, Larias, so etc. So this team can deal the full blow, the full damage to those Pokemon. And even a choice banded Dragonite can't Okos Zygarde under the Misty Terrain. Feeny got Draining Kiss, and it got the Stored Power. So Feeny can now, with the Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Stored Power can sweep even with the presence of a dark type, because Stored Power it's usually used when you're not facing a dark Pokemon or you have a guaranteed way to get rid of the dark Pokemon. So you've got Draining Kiss for that. Incin is the pivot. It will go most likely heavy duty boots. It has Parting Shot, has U-turn. Mega Beedrill can deal insane damage. So this team damage per turn, if we can go like damage per turn, is so insanely high because Mega Beedrill and even Thunder Steering hits so hard, and both of them have their momentum move as a stab. So this team can control the tempo of the game. And even if you're like losing the tempo as a Slive, as this player, he will just regain it with Feeny, Pharaoh, or Incin. These 3 are Grass, Water, Fire, Core, and even if you add Zygarde, the Dragon, Steel, Fairy target. So that's what I love about this team. So the first 6 or 7 Pokemon are so good, and even Frostless, it got Poltergeist, so this thing can go physical. And it got Spikes and the Destiny Bond. It's fast. Mesprit got Stealth Rocks, Screens. Passimian is a fighting type, which most of the teams hate. And it has 125 base stats. So this thing is so good as a coverage for this team. And that's why we rated number 5. I'm not talking about the last Pokemon, because I didn't even know it existed. Take it from here, Jayem.
Really is quite amazing. That Pokemon's been around for about 20 years and Hussam didn't realise it existed until 2 days ago. So, but yeah, this is why we rank this team so high. It's very, very good. It's a very, very good team, and it's going to be very difficult to deal with, I think. I think It works perfectly in defensively, offensively, any which way you slice it, really. Feeny getting access to Draining Kiss and therefore finally getting its own recovery move is fantastic for it. Especially since it's not recovering by a fixed amount, it could be really good or it could be terrible, depending on the matchup, but we shall see. I have good feelings about this team. Slife is an excellent, excellent coach, and I think he can take this team up to the very top. Now, speaking of excellent coaches and the opposite of them, it's me! Yeah, we rank this team quite high, partially because, well, drafting, if I may admit myself, is kind of a strength of mine. It's just that everything else tends to let me down. Anyway, Hydreigon, Weezingala, and Excadrill. I suppose I can talk a little bit more about this team since I'm the one who drafted it and actually thought about it, allegedly. So, as you can see here, this is a sand team, or bits of it are a sand team, because obviously when you got an Excadrill you want sand to go along with it, and that's why I drafted Hippowdon. You gotta get that speed, you gotta get stuff to go along with it. And I think I've decided to put on some other Pokemon to get used to that as well. And that's why I drafted Pokemon like Weezingala. I think the missing terrain helps Excadrill out a lot, but if it isn't something that suits me, say if I want to bring Hydreigon or Rotom and I want to try and avoid hazards on those, I can just run Levitate on it and not waste my time. Mega Gallade is a really nice Pokemon and one I really like. I think it's capable of doing a lot. Actually, Gallade, regular Gallade is one of my favourite Pokemon, and I've never actually gotten the chance to use Mega Gallade. I know it's very good. It's one of Clutch's pivotal picks. He always goes for it, and he always gets used out of it. Doubtless, I will disappoint him further in the season, but we will come to that bridge later. And I like the rest of my team as well. I think I managed to use the deadline day picks to sort of make something decent. Jellicent, Rotom Heat, and Cradley are really good. Rotom Heat, as I found out in my week 1 match, holy moly, that's a good mon. That is such a good mon. I absolutely adore Rotom Heat, like especially with the boots, especially with Nasty Plot. It's gonna get so much use out of this season, and I can't wait to use it. Cradley could be decent, like there maybe a better picks, maybe, but it functions well with sand, and it gives me a water immunity, my second water immunity next to Jellicent. And the other stuff, some people might think that Murkrow is a bit of a terrible Pokemon, and sometimes it can be, sometimes it isn't very good, but it does get a couple of things. Its bulk is still terrible, even with Violite, but it does get Prankster Haze, Prankster Tailwind, and Prankster Defog. That gives me options, and I like having options. And that's also why I drafted Licky Licky, because it's basically there to set heals, do cleric duties, rocks, seismic toss, the occasional explosion, things like that. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this team, but I better let someone who's not completely biased give their take on it. Hussam?
Well, the thing is about this team, offensively, it's so good. With Hydreigon, Drill, Gallade dealing massive damage to the other team. And the new Nasty Plot for Hydreigon makes it even terrifying. So you've got like fast Hydreigon, fast Excadrill with Sand, and the fast Gallade, the usual one, with Sneak, Swords Dance, Drain Punch, Close Combat, anything you want. So I'm not really going in depth with the offense. I'm loving the defensive core. You've got Weezing and Rotom Heat. These two are so good, and they both have Will-O-Wisp and Pain Split. So even if you're running, as we have seen a lot in the team previously, many bulky Pokemon. So these can Pain Split so easily against these teams. And we've seen it in week 1 with Rotom Heat, Pain Splitting Kyurem. Of course, living Specs, Draco Meteor. So, and pairing them with Hippowdon with Slakout and Jellicent String Sap. So these 4 defensive cores are so good, and even Rotom Heat can run the lovely Nasty Plot. This deals so insane amounts of damage. And Licky Licky, which can like wish fast stuff and even knock off or counter. So this team's main problem, even though it's so good defensively and offensively, it has its own weaknesses in fighting and ice. So getting rid like of Cradle and Murkrow, because one of them is weak to ice and the other is weak to fighting. So if you're not counting those, this team is balanced in that regard. So I like this team. I love it, and Jayem is playing playing so good lately, and we have to appreciate his art. Glitch City Mazinga.
Absolutely, that art is not mine. I took it from a YouTube channel. So
Wow.
don't praise me on that. I'm a liar. Yeah, you've been praising my play, but clearly you have not been watching me in the randoms league, because that is happening. That's just happening. Let's just say that much.
And finally,
Yes, finally,
the top three.
the top three.
Go,
We've got
go, surprise them.
to the bronze medal position, and it is Crow. Yeah, don't think many of you saw that one coming, but yeah, Crow is a really, really good team. Like a proper fantastic team there. You've got your Mega Mobile, you've got your Salamence. That's a really good Dragon Fairy Steel Core in 2 mons efficiency. We always like that on this channel. And you've got other stuff that goes along with it as well. Gyarados is really good. Marowak is really good. Eldegoss is there, but yeah, you can see this team and think, why is this team so high? Like, it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's obviously good, it's got a lot going for it, but why is it so high? What pushes it above the rest of that? That mon there, Porygon 2, that is what pushes this team above everything else for me, because Porygon 2 gets 2 very important moves. It gets Trick Room and it gets Teleport. Trick Room, Teleport. It is, I think, one of the only Pokemon that can safely set up Trick Room and pivot away 100% guaranteed and get the other one in safely. That means Mega Mawile, Vikavolt, Marowak, they can all come in and immediately start wrecking Faze, completely healthy, uncontested. And that's what gives this team the edge. And that's not the only thing going for it as well. It doesn't have to run Trick Room. Gyarados is really good, so is Salamence. It's got double Intimidate, double Moxie. That is insane. I think those are the only 2 mods that actually have both of those abilities, and they're on the same team. What a small world. And you've got other good stuff along with it as well. Nidoking. Everyone loves Nidoking. It's got that coverage, it's got that Toxic Spikes, it's got a lot of things. And you know what Nidoking does. It's been doing the same thing for like 3 generations straight. You all know what it does. It's your job to deal with it. And Hitmontop. Hitmontop got a really, really, really nice tool in Triple Axle. That's essentially a base 180 Ice-type move with Technician boosted. And it's Crow. Of course it's Technician boosted. It's in his catchphrase. What else were you expecting, you idiot? This is a good team. What do you think of it, Hussam?
Well, this team is definitely good, but I think what I love about this team is every Pokemon's ability is so valid. It's so good. Even you will be like confused. What do I use for this game? Do I use Intimidate? Do I use Moxie? Do I use what it's called Reckless or the Lightning Bolt? Do I use Technician? Do I use what was it? Montap Intimidate. So he has 4 Intimidators, and Mega Mawile can run like Hyper Cutter if you're running like against Intimidators. Salamence if you're setting up. All these Pokemon are valid. Even Eldegoss, it can work. It has Regenerator. Base 120 Spadef, it can do some work. This is draft. This is not ladder. So it's the definition of power and abuse. This team can run Trick Room. This team can run Scarf on Nidoking, Gyarados, or even Salamence. Can run bands everywhere. You've got sticky webs if you're going for like what it's called Nidoking sweep late game, because Nidoking can kill any Pokemon in 2-hit KOs, I think, other than Chansey and Blissey or something like this. So this team will wreck teams. This team has it all. It doesn't care about anything. It's weak to fighting a lot. Ice. It's weak to flying and psychic, but it doesn't care. You've got Porygon 2. It can take hits. If it's not on the special side, you've got Intimidator. No, 2 or 3, even 4 before the Mega Mawile. So you've got Spadef, Eldegoss. You can go AV Hitmontop. Ambipop can be viable. This team is so good. This team is scary. You will not know which Pokemon you will prep for. And even Salamence. Trust me, Crow will go for Fire Blast Salamence or something like this. I love this team. And by the way, guys, I think this team was like number 6 or 7 and got up here. Oh, I'm tired of even talking about it. I don't want to face it. Thank God I'm not in this league. Going back to you, Jayem.
Yeah, we all fear this team. I'm not actually sure if I'm against this team. I think I am, and I really don't want to be, because God, this looks like an absolute nightmare to deal with. But there's 2 other teams that are better on it, and we have to talk about those. And coming into the silver medal position, the number 2 is Brendinho, the absolute arsehole that we all have to deal with. His horrible teams plague us every single year, and this year is no different. He hasn't drafted any Serene Gracemons, which is, a nice change of pace, but he has got Manaphy because, old habits die hard. But he's got some good stuff, like some very, very good stuff. This is, again, one of those teams where I just think everything can be brought and has a purpose, and everything can do something here. Even if some a little bit less than others, looking at you, Aurorus, but, he's got Mew, he's got Gliscor, he's got Tail Glow Manaphy. So much in the way of defense. Copper that's really good. People don't think it's good, but it is. It's got sheer force, it's got a ridiculous attack stat, it's got no speed. Cut that last bit out. It's fine, it's really good. And I think it works really well as part of the other core he's got going on with Florges and Komoro. Komoro, I think, works really well in this team, especially. Having multiple things to resist Fairy, like Vileplume and Copper, as we said before, plus just in addition to lots and lots of bulk, he makes a lot of use out of that. But, as I said, this is Brendan we're talking about. He runs bulk, he stalls games out, he frustrates the opponent, and then he goes in for the kill, and you know exactly what he's going to do every time, but he still does it, and he gets away with it, because that's just the way he rolls. I may be slightly bitter, because I do have to prep for this team, and it is not fun. It's not fun, I'll tell you that much.
It is not indeed. Indeed, it's not. How are you going to break this team's bulk or this team's defense? I know this team is weak to ground. It's so weak to ground, but it doesn't care. You've got Gliscor. I think the only thing that can break this team is Nidoking and Nidoqueen, and that's it. If you've got if you're going Manaphy, Scarf Manaphy or something, you deal with it. This team has answers to anything. If you're running hyper offense, this team will run fucking bulky. So even if you've got super effective moves, non-stab super effective move against these mons, Mew won't die, Como won't die, Florges won't die, even Vileplume got String Sap, Florges Wish. You've got Como, it's unkillable. It got Clangorous Scale and Clangorous Soul. So this team can't set up. This team is bulky. Its offense it's not that great. It got Mew, D-Dance, Mew. If you're going with that, you've got Swords Dance, Facade, Gliscor. You've got the Clangorous Soul, Como, and even you've got Tail Glow Manaphy, which I think you will use it almost every battle. I think what this team really needs, or what we will see, and something Brian has said to us. Brian said that let Brendan drop Munchlax for Vulpix, right? Was it Vulpix? It got dropped. So he said that this team needs drought because with Sunny Day Vileplume with special attack of 110 with growth can deal massive damage, and especially with Mega Houndoom's solar power. So with Sun, I think this can be added to this team if he wants to. Can make this team a better wall breaker. So that's my thought about this team. This team has it all. It's weak, as I said, to ground, but Gliscor can counter that. This team can wish pass to anything. Copper can deal insane damage. Can even go AV with Wish Florges. And Munchlax, I don't know what's the use of it. Do you know?
Well, Marchlex is one of those mons which is like deceptively bulky because it's got like 105 HP and like 85 special defense, I think, as a baby Pokemon, and it can run a Violite. Like, it can take a lot of special hits.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it has 135 HP and thick fat.
yeah.
Go on, go on.
Yeah, it's like it is deceptively powerful mon, I think, but it does look really, really passive, like exceptionally passive. It probably shouldn't be a one-pointer. We'll get around to fixing that at some point. You all know how trash our tiers are. But, otherwise, yeah, this is a very, very good team. If I do have to give a bit of criticism, I'm not entirely sure what Aurora's does. I think Brendan drafted it because he likes it. But, fair power to you, more power to you. It's got a... It certainly doesn't not do anything. It's got rocks. Sometimes you want your stuff to not run rocks. Gliscor doesn't always run it, Mew doesn't always run it. And other than that, I think it's just Aurora, so I don't think Copperajah even gets it. Actually, it might, it probably does. I should probably check to see if that... Whatever, check is for losers. Yeah, anyway, this is an exceptionally good team. But there is another one. The final one, the big one. And by process of elimination, I'm sure most of you have been able to figure out who it is.
The final Chicago boss.
The one, the only, the gold medalist. You know him, you love him. He's got a rule named after him. It's goddamn Paluki, everybody. Holy, what the goddamn hell is going on here? Mega Medicham, Tapu Koko, Scizor, Tyrantrum. Everything, absolutely everything on this team can do something. And most of it can do more than something. It can do like 2 somethings, maybe even 3. Mega Medicham. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what you bring for Mega Medicham. Mega Medicham will break you apart like your ex-girlfriend. Tapu Koko is
Mega Medicham will break your heart and break your soul like it does to Jayem.
Absolutely. I hate Mega Medicham. I'm not even fighting this team, and it scares me. Like, we had to tier this team. This team immediately went to number 1. This is like one of the only undisputed things when we were tiering. We all looked at this team and went, yep, that's number 1. This is the best team in any of the leagues this season. 100%. And then you've got Koko. Koko is one of, if not the best mon in draft with all the new stuff it got. It got close combat. How does it even do close combat? It doesn't even have arms. It's a stupid little bird thing. How does it punch things? But whatever, it's got it, it's there, it got play rough, it can run mixed, it can run anything it wants to. Scizor, really good, that's what it always happens. Paluki always drafts it, it's a really good Pokemon just to have all the time. Tyrantrum. Tyrantrum has ruined me before. It is an extremely, extremely potent wall breaker with Dragon Dance, Head Smash, Rock Head. It can really, really get a lot of use out of that. And Superior, you all know what Superior does. Not quite as good as it is now as it was in other leagues in other previous seasons because of the lack of hidden power, but hey, it's still got that boosting Leaf Storm that you all know and hate it for. Moltres is really good with boots. Seismitoad has got that water absorb and just additional other things. It's just one of those bulky water types that everyone loves to use. It might be the best water ground type. It depends on who you ask. It depends a lot on who you ask because everyone's got their own opinion on what the best water ground type is, but Seismitoad is certainly one of the best. Whizzing, really, really good physical wall. It's good for Will-O-Wisp, it's good for Pain Split, it's good for avoiding ground type moves. Not that this team really has to worry about that because you've already got Moltres and Superior, but that is what it is there for. Sableye has got Prankster, it's got all the things to make it as annoying as hell to deal with, and Bouffalont has got sweet hair. And apparently it's also good in battle. I haven't actually seen it in battle, but I can certainly see how it would be useful. It's got that good attack stat, it's got Sap Sipper, it's got a couple of things going for it. Yeah, this team is the best overall combination of offense and defense. Offensively, this team is unmatched. Medicham, Koko, Scizor, Tyrantrum, Superior. That is so hard to deal with. There is not a single mon and one individual mon that will be able to deal with all of that. Except for, like, Shedinja. Maybe. So, if Viper ever fights this team, he's going to be lucky. Everyone else, you're screwed. How exactly are they screwed, Hussam?
Well, you've left nothing for me, but I'm taking the leftovers. Well, first of all, you didn't let anything slip through in case in terms of offensive, in terms of even praising Baluki's team. So this team is weirdly weak to ice. Even his cores, most of them are weak to ice. I think only Scissor is not weak to ice, or the only one who resisted. But I think he can play around that, especially with not that much of an ice tab around the Origins team. Mainly we've seen Regice, Frostless, and this kind of stuff. But this team really loses like to Kyurem. So anyhow, I love this team's Grass Water Fire core defensively, and the Fairy Steel Dragon core as well. And there's a hidden core, I love it so much. It's the Psychic, Ghost, and Dark with Sableye and Medicham. They work so good together, and I love it. With the Will-O-Wisp knockoff to pave the way to all of Baluki's offense threats. So I think I like this team, and I love Sableye's utility in this team. So, and I think that although I've drafted like Buffalo a couple of times in the past, but I think this Pokemon is still lacklusting something, but it can see some more some plays or some stuff, especially with Sap Sipper or Soundproof. So I think that's why this team is like top tier, because of its offensive threats and the hidden cores. He has like 3 strong cores, defensively strong. So that's my opinion of this team.
I think what really pushes this team over the top is just the fact that basically everything in it is one of the best picks you can get in its respective tier, in my opinion, and it all just works so well together. It's got high tier picks, it's got cohesiveness, it's got basically everything you want in a team, and that's why we ranked it so high, and that's why Paluki does really well in all of his drafts, because he makes like 7 plans and mashes them all together. So
Exactly that, and I love that his team is like most of that is you turn into a Pokemon that can one-hit KO anything on its way, like Medicham, Koko, even Tyrantrum. So these 3 can like cause many Pokemon, and even getting superior glaring stuff and controlling the tempo and the speed of the opposing team is so frustrating against this offense. Because Medicham, as I said, Koko, Tyrantrum, Superior's Contrary, even what's called Swords Dance Scissor, D-Dance Tyrantrum, these things can sweep. So one wrong mistake from the opposing team and this team can win, even like 5 or 6-0.
And that is why we ranked it as number 1. We really think that it's got the best chance of winning the whole thing, really. But then again, we have seen what Origins has to offer, and, well, it's going to be hard to predict. I'll just say that much. So, here is the final rankings for it. As you can see, we've got the top 5, Paluki, Brendan, Crow, me, and Slife. Others may feel a little bit aggrieved that they're not in there. Cradley is probably very upset with her position of 6th. But, hey, as we've mentioned, it's really, really close. And also, hey, well done, Queen and Fiora, you're not last. Congratulations. Sorry, Keith.
And finally, Origins drafted so good this season. Because previous seasons, there were like couple or 3, 4, 5 teams that haven't like drafted so good, including me last season. But I think this season was and is still a success in terms of team composition, synergy, and even like momentum stuff. Most of this team are depending on momentum, and I think I love this.
I think what else I also love about a lot of the teams is that they're not really one note. A lot of teams can run multiple different options. like as we saw with the top tiers and even the lower tiers as well. They're not just like the one note team, even Faze's rain team for instance, possibly because it's not specifically built to focus around rain really. He's only got a few mons that really focus on that, and the rest of it is just like a regular draft team. And that kind of thinking was applied across the league. I think everyone has drafted, considering the constraints, 110 points and 10 to 11 mons. That's a lot of restrictions, and I think people have managed to build some really fantastic teams out of it, even despite those restrictions. And maybe,
Exactly.
yeah, maybe
Respect to all the coaches there, and shout out to all of them.
shout out to absolutely everyone here, apart from Faze. He deserves nothing. But on that note, we bid you farewell from this season's PR rankings and origins. Will they be right? Will they be right? Probably not, but we shall see what happens anyway. Now do remember that this isn't objective, this is just mine, Hussam and Brian's opinion, basically. You probably might think yourself as higher or lower, or what other team should be higher or lower, whatever. Maybe you think me being in the top 4 is a travesty, and it obviously is, but that's beside the point. But anyway.
And you shouldn't, because I'm here. Because I'm the professional, and I think I'm the best player in the league.
Absolutely, you are 100% the best player in the league, and that's why you're not
The
competing.
orders are absolute.
100%. Like, if you disagree with your Hussam, you're just wrong. Basically, like, we're mods, you can't do anything against us. If you disagree with us, we'll just ban you.
And I've done it. No jokes.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I think that concludes this season's power rankings.
Absolutely. I've been Jayem, he's been Hussam, and we will see you in the next season. Take care, guys.
Farewell.